How's everybody doing today? We're going to talk about Deontay Wilder and some of the things he gets right with Southpaws that Anthony Joshua might want to take a look at. Okay, so when we're looking at, as the profile pic shows, Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz, and you see him landing a lead right hand on Luis Ortiz. How did he set it up? And I suggest that all you guys go out there and check my community section. I have a video there with Coach Anthony discussing it with one of the heavyweight contenders, was once a top heavyweight contender, Eddie. And you should check it out because he talks in detail about, he actually has a set of videos that deal with how to handle a southpaw if you're facing a southpaw. All right. And certain things Anthony Joshua was not able to do because he didn't understand what Usyk was doing. Okay. And he didn't have enough experience, at least, to understand what Usyk was doing. He was somewhat competitive, even though he was always a step behind. He was somewhat competitive in this fight. As I said before, it was pretty much even coming out of 8 rounds. So what happened was Usyk got like the first 3 rounds, and then Anthony Joshua picked it up in 4, 5, 6. He took that. And then 7 and 8, one was Anthony Joshua, one was Usyk. It depending on how you look at it. You can say the 2 rounds were kind of even. But going into the 9th round, that's when Usyk took over. 9, 10, 11, 12, right? Basically, Usyk took 8 rounds to 4, in my opinion. Some people had 7 rounds to 3. I think Blue has it 7 rounds to 3. But what I want to talk to you guys about a little bit, the angle of the camera is the way it is. If I was to face this way, it would look a little bit different. But anyway, the thing that you take away from this is that Anthony Joshua, he kept on making mistakes, which is where Usyk, in the very first round, Usyk was able to land the lead left hand on him, and the reason that was so was because Usyk kept on stepping. I had to show you 5 footwork, but okay. So let's say I am Anthony Joshua, right? Okay, I am Anthony Joshua right now. Okay. So I'm here with my 2 guard, and I'm coming in, and I dip a little bit, and I'm coming in on Usyk. Now, once Anthony Joshua throws his jab, Usyk is constantly striving to be to the right. Anthony Joshua's left, to the right of Anthony Joshua's jab. And how actually it's done is by positioning yourself to the right of the lead foot of your opponent. So Anthony Joshua's lead foot, okay, is his left foot, okay? And you guys can't see my lead foot, so I'm going to lift it up a little bit. So his lead foot was his left foot, okay? So where Alexander Usyk wants to put his foot to make sure he's always to the right of Anthony, he's on the right-hand side, his right, or the left-hand side of Anthony Joshua, is he wants to get his lead foot out here to the outside of Anthony Joshua's lead foot. Okay? And this is basically, Alexander Usyk is basically a textbook boxer. So if this is Alexander Usyk's foot, Alexander's southpaw, okay, Alexander Usyk, he's, moving around. He may be moving this way first, moving clockwise. So he's moving clockwise like this. But then he's going to always come back this way. The idea is he wants to shuffle Anthony Joshua, wants to bring Anthony Joshua so that he could step to the outside of Anthony Joshua's lead foot. So his lead foot is going to step to the outside, okay, which would be to his right, Anthony Joshua's left. He's going to step to the outside of Anthony Joshua's lead foot. We call that in boxing lead foot dominance. Because once you get to the outside of your opponent's lead foot, generally speaking, your body is positioned so that you can easily slip to the outside of your opponent's jab. So if the opponent's jab is coming at you here, or let's say I'm going to stay center line. So if the opponent's jab is coming at you here, and your lead foot is to the outside of your opponent's lead foot, the jab lines up with the lead foot. So he's to the outside of the opponent's lead foot. Then if I slip the jab this way, I'm now to the outside of my opponent's lead foot, and I'm also to the outside of my opponent's jab. Okay? So what I can do is I can do two things. I could either shuffle and jab, and so now to the outside of my opponent, I can hit them. They can't hit me. Or I can slip the jab and throw my lead hand. As a southpaw, I throw my lead hand. And this is like I'm trying to get it to the camera here. Boom, right? So basically I hit them strike straight into their face. So the idea is that Alexander Usyk was doing that. Anytime he threw a lead hand straight down the center and hit Anthony Joshua, it's because he did actually that. Right? And Alexander Usyk, he'll do all kinds of things. He'll shuffle this way, he'll shuffle that way. But ultimately, in the end, he's lining up his lead foot. He's not going to attack, okay, unless his lead foot is to the outside of Anthony Joshua's lead foot. Now, there are some very skilled southpaws like Zab Judah and like other fighters, you know, who can actually keep their lead foot to the inside of their opponent and still strike them with certain shots, like a jab to the inside. And that has to do with distance. So how you control distance. You don't really see Alexander Usyk doing that. You don't see Lomachenko really doing that. But there are fighters who can do that, right? Now, the other thing is there are two major forms of attack that Alexander Usyk would use on Anthony Joshua. The second major form of attack that Alexander Usyk would use on Anthony Joshua, being that he's a southpaw, is, so I'm showing you Anthony Joshua's lead foot again. But this time, I'm not really concentrating on Anthony Joshua's jab. Let's say that Anthony Joshua's setting up a 1-2. So he throws the jab and then he throws his right hand. Now, Alexander Usyk in the southpaw stance, okay, so you can see the lead foot here. Alexander Usyk, if he is to the outside already of Anthony Joshua's jab, Alexander Usyk can do a little something. So as you know, there's a slip, right? If I want to slip the jab, I can slip the jab this way. Okay. Now the key here, Anthony Joshua. So if Anthony Joshua throws a right hand, right, straight at Usyk, he could slip it and throw his jab and catch Anthony Joshua, or he could shuffle in. Now, he could either, there are many different ways to do it, but he could shuffle in. So the shuffle in just is a shuffle like this, right? So he can shuffle off to the side kind of like this, and then he can throw his lead left hand and catch Anthony Joshua with the lead left hand. Let me do it like this, right? Boom, right? So you can see. The way how this thing is slightly elevated. So you're looking up at me, sort of like, which is not the way to do it, but we'll let it be, right? So sometimes you see me throw a shot that's straight, but it doesn't look straight. I'm actually shooting down at the camera right there. All right, but you're not supposed to be shooting down. You're supposed to actually be shooting up. So this looks crazy, right? It's just the camera angle. All right, so going back to what I was saying. So that Anthony Joshua, Alexander Usyk could counter Anthony Joshua two ways. There's many other ways to counter him, variations of those two ways I just said. But basically, he could counter him that way. Of course, the other way is to, so if I'm in the southpaw stance here, right, I can slip the right hand, okay? I can throw my jab, and then I can pivot off to the side, and I can still catch him with something else, okay? Boom, 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 right? I can catch him with something else. But at the end of the day, those are the two major things. And Alexander Usyk, mainly, he was using lead foot dominance. He was getting to the outside of Anthony Joshua's lead foot and landing his lead left hand. His major weapon was his right hook and his left hand. So he was mostly going to Anthony Joshua's weak side on the outside of his jab, what we call the weak side, because you can't hit the opponent, but the opponent can hit you. That's why we call it the weak side. Now, Anthony Joshua, to offset that, would have been very simple. Anthony Joshua just needed to take a step back off an angle. So he needed to basically take a step back anti-clockwise, like this. And that solves that problem. So if he takes a step back and turns like this, now Alexander Usyk, who is on the outside, he's no longer on the outside. and Alexander Usyk has to shuffle to get back to that position. Okay, and it opens back up Usyk. So that was what Anthony Joshua needed to do. Or if you're dealing with the southpaw and you want to close the distance in on them, what you can do is smother him. So when Alexander Usyk comes this way and he's to the outside of you, you can just do a simple pivot, but you move in. So you move in off a pivot like this. Okay? And that'll adjust the angle. So you move in off the pivot. You slide in on him. If he comes here, right? He's throwing the left, you got to slide right in on him. Okay? Or you can swivel and slide in on him. Right? Like this. Okay? And slide in on him. Okay? And even if you have the two guard, it doesn't really matter. All right? So that's what he needed to do. So he needed to get to the inside. And once he gets to the inside, smothers Alexander Usyk. He was supposed to dog walk him on the inside. He's supposed to dog walk him to the ropes. He's supposed to take his physical size, his physical weight, and lay it down on him or dog walk him to the ropes. He was supposed to physically bully him that way. Even if you're not a dirty fighter, you don't want to rabbit punch guys, you don't want to punch them in the ribs and the gut while they're clinging on to one hand, or you holding on to one hand and punching them, which you're not supposed to do. That's illegal. Even if he didn't want to do that, that's what he should have done. He should have bullied him to the ropes. So how do you cut off a southpaw? Remember, I'm a southpaw. So for me, it just comes natural that I would want to do those things that I just told you guys, right? Now, if you want to beat a southpaw, one of the things you want to do is take away some of their weapons. And if the lead left is a major weapon for a southpaw, then you want to take that away. And you do that, ironically, by circling to the lead left. But you also maintain distance. And it's interesting, with Deontay Wilder, Coach Barry Robinson just put out a video. You guys check out Coach Barry Robinson. Just check out Barry Robinson on how to be great at boxing. He used to be a Million Styles Boxing, but check him out. He just put out a video. And that video will really help you guys. I'll try and put it in the community section afterwards. But Deontay Wilder actually circles a southpaw. He circles the southpaw clockwise. I'm anti-clockwise, like this. Now, by circling a southpaw anti-clockwise, as Timothy Bradley will tell you, and anybody will tell you that knows how to fight southpaws, by circling them anti-clockwise, you take away a certain angle for the southpaw to throw his lead left. All right? So for me, if you're circling me this way, the only way I'm going to throw my lead left is to step back into you, which will make you hit me very easily, right? So even if I get and it's harder for me to get to your lead foot and get past your lead foot because you're constantly changing the angle all the time, right? So it's a little harder for me to get to your lead foot. Now there's things I could do to change that and get in favor with me, get it back in my favor as a southpaw. But the point is that now I have to try and create that angle. And it's harder to create that angle because I have to shuffle so much just to get to your lead foot and get out on the outside of your lead foot. So now it's a big struggle. And in the meantime, you may be at a safe distance where your reach can reach me and my reach can't reach you. For instance, Anthony Joshua had a longer reach. So he had to find out where his lead hand, his right hand would be. In the meantime, he's occupying Usyk with the jab. So when you occupy your opponent with the jab, like this, you're lining up yourself, you're lining up your right hand, you're staying at a safe distance so they can't just hit you, and then you throw your right hand, you throw the right hand down the center, right? Once you find the right angle, you throw it, you shoot it down. And he should have been shooting to the body, he should have been trying to break down Usyk to the body. And most of his stuff, if you look at Canelo Alvarez, is the first thing he throws the left hook to the body. The first thing he throws is a straight right to the body. You look at Floyd Mayweather, the first shot he would throw is usually a shot to the body. He may come with a shot to the head first. He may fake the shot to the head and go to the body. A jab to the pit is staple. And Anthony Joshua should have been looking not for the jab to the pit because it's kind of harder to hit guys with the jab. Mostly the jab would hit a southpaw on the spleen area, somewhere around here. You really want to catch them with a jab, a shot right here, which would be like more lead right. And you'd be angled better to shoot the lead right to the body. Of course, you can get countered up top But if you've been circling right and you got enough reflexes, good reflexes and stuff, and occupying your opponent with your other hand, you might be able to shoot the lead right. And just in case you might get countered by that, right? The one thing you want to do when you're shooting the lead right, as you throw your jab and you bring your guard back up here, and make sure your shoulder is in place so you can shoot the lead right and come back like this. You must make sure your guard in here. Or if you have the shell, right, you're shooting off so you protect the chin, because that's what Kell Brook didn't do, and that's why he got caught with a check hook. But the check hook is, for me as a southpaw, if you come shooting in on me, I'm gonna check hook you real quick, right? Check hook you real quick, right? And it's a very quick action, and again, it's because it's an action where if I'm here, right, I'm gonna check hook you real quick because I'm basically I would have blocked the shot anyway, right? So I check hook you real quick as I'm rolling back, right? Now, what I'm saying to you guys is that you gotta use the so with the southpaw, Deontay Wilder, as much as he was unbalanced, Deontay Wilder moved like this. He kind of unbalanced, right? He's big heavyweight, right? So he's very lumbering with his feet. Even though he can be kind of agile with his feet, he's lumbering with his feet. So here he is, right? Big old heavyweight, but he's circling anti-clockwise. So he's taken away from Luis Ortiz, and they're battling the jab thing. So the jab thing is going on over here, right? Now Luis Ortiz, if he can get past Deontay Wilder's, on the outside of Deontay Wilder's lead foot, he could throw that hook. He could hook him, not just jab him, but he could hook him over there and catch him, right? And you do remember in the two fights, I think Deontay Wilder was hurt in the first fight more than the second fight. But the point is that Wilder's still stuck with that. He's stuck with circling the southpaw in this direction because now you take away that angle for the southpaw to easily land that lead left. Like in the first round, Alexander Usyk should never have been able to land that lead left on Deontay Wilder, on Anthony Joshua. So that's one thing that Deontay Wilder did with Luis Ortiz that was really good. That Anthony Joshua, instead of circling him in the orthodox way this way, probably should circle him this way. Okay. The other thing that I would suggest for Anthony Joshua, and again, you don't have to change too much of the game plan. You know, Anthony Joshua was using the jab to keep Usyk off of him, which was very good. But you also want to use the jab to push Usyk back. But how can you do that? How can you use the jab to push Usyk back? So that's where you got to understand lead foot dominance. If you can slide in to the outside of Usyk's lead foot, so this is Usyk's lead foot here, you want to slide to the outside of Usyk's lead foot, then you got free reign. Almost. Not really. But your body should be oriented for free reign. So if Usyk was to throw his jab or his hook, right? If he was to throw his jab or his hook, you would be able to basically slide to the outside and then hit him with your jab. All right? So if you're circling this way, you can come back in this way, right? And by jabbing him this way, I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm jabbing off an angle, right? By jabbing him this way off the angle, you can step in on him. Now it's kind of stepping in on a circle, but you can now, so you're jabbing off an angle and then you come here and you come like this. So you slide in. So after you jab him, right, you square up and you slide in. And then you come back again. So you're cutting off the angle. So when he tries to circle out this way, because he's trying to circle out and reset, you cut him off. All right? And then, again, you come back with the same jab. So you can push him out of the center of the ring. You don't want it going in a circle. You want him to go wide. You can gradually do this, or you can start doing it immediately. You come out, hands up wide. Now, hands up, but you got to protect the body, right? So you're coming in like this. Hands up, body forward. All right, off on the front foot instead of on the back foot, meaning most of my body weight is on the front foot. I'm aggressive. I'm coming at you. And then you're coming, bearing in mind that you need to get to this side of Usyk, right? Usyk's here. You got to get to this side of Usyk. So you're coming at Usyk this way, all right? And you're trying to cut off the rein. So anytime he tries to circle back this way, you're cutting him this way. Now, having said all of that, there are other little tricks Usyk does in there that he can resort to something else. Like I said, he can go weak side to your right hand. He can start counting your right hand. He could counter your left hook. He could roll under your right hand and then come back with something. So it's not just that alone. But what I liked about it was Deontay Wilder was using that, what I just told you, against Luis Ortiz. I know Luis Ortiz is a slower fighter, but still Luis Ortiz was walking down Wilder at certain points. He was, moving very quickly for an old guy at certain points and really trying to flood Wilder, trying to knock him out, right? And especially in the first fight. So you have to bear that in mind. Now, Luis Ortiz is a skilled Cuban boxer. Yeah, he was kind of out of character at certain times, taking risks and stuff, but ultimately in the end, Wilder was able to counter Luis Ortiz and knock him out. Knock him down and knock him out. In the second fight, same thing. Luis Ortiz was beating Wilder round after round after round, but the one thing that was very important for people to understand was Wilder was lining up his shot. With Anthony Joshua, I know he doesn't want to get hit on the chin too much and mess up his equilibrium, so he's taking more precautions in fights, not to get hit. But at the same time, he did get his eye orbital pretty much damaged in this fight against Usyk. And Usyk's not a heavy puncher, but the reason he kept on landing those lead lefts. I mean, anytime Usyk wanted to land a lead left, he basically got his opportunity to do so quite a lot in the fight, even though the fight was kind of close within 8 rounds. The damage he did trickled into the 9th round. That's why Anthony Joshua couldn't see through his eye. Usyk was just relentlessly landing those lead lefts. Now, here's the other thing that he could learn from Deontay Wilder. As crazy and as wild as Deontay Wilder may look, Deontay Wilder is a guy who understands range somewhat. What I mean by that is, I guess, especially against shorter fighters. Luis Ortiz. When Wilder realized that Luis Ortiz was too good for him and was countering him, he would use his length. So he would move off and circle wide. Anthony Joshua could do the same thing. When you realize that Alexander Usyk is a little too much for you, you need to move off and reset. All boxers do it. So you circle out wide, and you may circle out clockwise. You circle out wide and reset and meet him back. It's a boxer's thing, okay? So that was another thing that Anthony Joshua did not do. Of course, Usyk could try and pursue him, in which case you just have to you may be able to bounce, change directions a little bit, and then step back. All right, step out. So all you got to do is be like a boxer, right? So you may bounce like this first, and then step back and circle out, because you want to circle out to reset yourself. All right. So this was something that Anthony Joshua could do. Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. Tyson Fury, when he was fighting Otto Wallen, he had difficulties with the Southpaw as well. So Deontay, all of them had difficulties with Southpaws. And the major reason all 3 of them had difficulties with Southpaws is because they're not seeing a lot of Southpaws at heavyweight. They're not a lot of Southpaws at heavyweight, period. So obviously, all of them had difficulty with Southpaw. Anthony Joshua, he lost his fight with Usyk, who was probably the best Southpaw up at heavyweight. And he got a damaged eye orbital. Tyson Fury, Otto Wilder, messed up his eye really badly. And Deontay Wilder almost got knocked out against Luis Ortiz the first fight. In the second fight, Luis Ortiz was winning almost every round against Deontay Wilder. So for these guys to behave like, Anthony Joshua took a loss and he's not as good as he says he is, well, then you guys go face Alexander Usyk then. And I'm just saying, as good as all those guys are, they were vulnerable against Southpaws. The Southpaws did things to them that no other fighter could do, okay? Now, I heard Mike Tyson say something that was really hilarious. Mike Tyson said, you see what Usyk did to Anthony Joshua? Just guess what I would have done to all these heavyweights. And I'm like, dude, you're not a Southpaw. What Alexander Usyk was able to do is because those heavyweights don't have a lot of experience with Southpaws. So when I hear Lennox Lewis chirping, when I hear Mike Tyson chirping, I mean, I'm glad they talking. I'm glad they're in the equation, but you guys can't handle what these guys are handling. You guys might have lost. Just imagine Mike Tyson versus Michael Moore. He get tagged up so much because he don't know. You got to understand, when you don't know how to fight a southpaw, you can't go storming in, right? We saw what's his name? I'm going to a lower weight class, a lightweight. We saw Nakatani, big, strong, tough guy, powerful right hand, right? We saw him get pieced up by by Vasily Lomachenko. Okay, that's because Nakatani don't know how to handle a southpaw. And if you don't know how to handle a southpaw, I don't care you Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis. If you don't know how to handle a southpaw, they will destroy you. You'll be food bait for people like me. I don't even need to be a heavyweight to beat your ass because, you know, southpaws, we used to fighting orthodox fighters. We know what angles to approach them. And if you don't know nothing about lead foot dominance, man, I'll catch you going down the wrong line, and over I'll be beating you up and landing lead left hands on you. Just all night long, I'll be landing lead lefts on you. All night long. Okay? Lead lefts, right hooks, jabs. I'll be piecing you up because you don't know how to deal with the southpaw. I'm not breaking it down for you guys so you guys will know how to deal with the southpaw, because southpaw is a problem. And we know how to do it better. And there's other things I'm not talking about that Usyk knows that that he can resort to if Anthony Joshua was to try and pressure him, like stepping around the guy. Even on the inside, you know, slippery slip. Southpaws are considered slippery guys because you just don't have enough experience. I haven't told you everything that Usyk could do against Anthony Joshua. He just started with something simple. All right. There's a lot of tricks to pull out of the trick bag as a southpaw. And I'm sure Usyk knows all of them. Okay. And remember, he fought at heavyweight. So a long guy like Tyson Fury, it may seem like a challenge because Tyson Fury can box. But the fact that Tyson Fury struggled with Otto Wallen, who was a southpaw, he would struggle with Usyk. He would struggle with him. Okay, Usyk know distance really well. Usyk really fight at mid-range. He's a mid-range fighter, but he steps into range and then he comes back out. He's an in and out kind of fighter, kind of like Vasily Lomachenko. But if you don't know how to box a southpaw, if you don't understand, and you don't understand how to box a southpaw as an orthodox fighter, you're shark bait. You're food. You know, and you may have tried and rough him up. And you can't rough up a southpaw who know how to step around you. Because once you come down the wrong line, he'll open up on you. So let's say, for example, you trying to rough me up. Remember, there's something called pivots, right? So if I snap back on a pivot like this, and you coming at me to try and clinch up, and you may swing those beam of arms, and I just roll under, left hook on you, and your history. You understand what I'm saying? You history. You just walk straight into my left hook. Understand what I'm saying? So it's not about just bum rushing a southpaw. I mean, we just step around you, we step under you, we roll under you, and we come up with something. And you are history. I knock you out cold. Okay? So it's not as easy to fight a southpaw. And Anthony Joshua did a very good job given what he was doing. He was textbook boxing a southpaw, which is circle clockwise. And he's trying to master that, which is good. I mean, I'm not mad at him. He tried to then walk him down a little bit, landing his lead right. He caught Usyk with some whopping shots that hurt Usyk, but Usyk and nothing that Usyk never felt before. Obviously, he was sparring Klitschko and all these guys. So, I mean, I just want to tell people, man, Usyk is a problem for the heavyweight division. I don't care if you use Deontay Wilder. I don't care if you Tyson Fury. He's a problem. Tyson Fury has long dimensions and he has good quickness and speed. But Tyson Fury, do notice, you better get used and you better start training. Not now, you have Deontay Wilder in front of you, but you better start training for a southpaw. I know you switch hitter and all of that, but you're not that good at fighting that southpaw. I saw that. You just all you know is the left hand, and you throw the little jab, but you got to learn a lot more than that for Alexander Usyk. He's a problem. Him and Michael Hunter, as I said before, Michael Hunter's not even a southpaw. But he knows boxing so good that the bounty hunter, man, them two guys is a problem. Michael Hunter even called it. He said Usyk's a problem. He said me and Usyk, man, them guys ain't supposed to face us. So Usyk got a little tricks in his trick bag for Anthony Joshua come the second fight. He got tricks in his trick bag that Anthony Joshua ain't know nothing about. But I'll suggest to Anthony Joshua, one, get your team to get to know a little bit more about because you wasn't nowhere near winning that fight. Okay, Usyk had set you up so good, and this pacing and rhythm and everything. The man's just a refined boxer. You're not gonna outbox him, but what you can do is you can mix it up and make the situation easier or better for you by learning how to box a certain way, okay, and fight a certain way. You need to put your weight down on him. You need to use other measures to try to even up the playing field, because this is a big challenge for you, and you have no idea what you just stepped into. Usyk as a southpaw. The one thing you didn't do and you should have done was you should have from the get-go established range on him. Make him know that you're going to keep this fight long. That's what you should have done. You keep it long, or it's deep in the inside, deep in the pocket, where you body to body. That's what you should have done. You should have took away mid-range from him. And that's not easy to do, mind you. But that's the first thing you should have done. And the other thing is you should have brought the heat. What I mean by that is, so there's pivot work where you can, like Adenis Ugas did. Once you circle in a certain direction, you're going to be pushing the guy backwards. You want to push the guy back off your stick or off your right hand. So you're sticking your right hand. You got to use both of them. I saw you try using both of them, but you was using them going backwards like this, right? But you need to have the stick always ready to counter over and to blaze the stick and step. So that's why clockwise is better, because anti-clockwise you're moving backwards. Whereas clockwise, you're stepping into the guy, you're stepping into him. And that's what Deontay Wilder understood. He did get caught a number of times because he didn't judge distance so well against Ortiz. But that's the key. All right? That's the key. So that's why I said you should have been circling the other way, but it's a lot of work, man. But you can go to the lab, do what you do. That's how you pressure a guy. So you should have been the aggressor because you're the bigger dude. But just because you're the bigger dude don't mean you have the stronger chin and so much more. So you wanna be careful with that. But yeah, I mean, Anthony Joshua has some work cut out for him, and I'm sure he's already working on it. He's probably back in the lab. If they give him the okay with the eye. Probably not doing any sparring for a couple of days or whatever, a couple of weeks, a couple of months, whatever, and then just keep it going, man. Keep it working. Keep working on the formula. The nice thing about human beings is we're capable of solving any problem, any equation, once you get your mind working on it. So I'm sure you're going to come up with something good. But like I said before, for Anthony Joshua to beat Usyk, you're going to have to negate his lead foot dominance. You got to negate letting him come in on you like that to land his lead left. That's the first thing you need to take away from him. Take away his lead left, and that's by doing pivot work and stepping back off an angle, or you're stepping into him coming in anti-clockwise. So you're coming into his power hand and you're pushing him back. You're ready to fire off your power hand at a moment's notice, and you're also ready to hook over the jab or jab him. And jab him high, jab him low, occupy him high, occupy him low. I know he's trying to do the same thing to you, but you got to do that. You can't have him. You can't be having him doing this, right? He be doing this all the time. He be stepping this way first, then he step back this way, then he step this way. You can't have him doing that to you. That's where it'll get confusing. So you got to step into him and cut off. Don't let him go. Don't let him go back. Don't let him go back this way. Cut him off. Box him in. All right. So, as the bigger fighter, you should be, because you got the reach advantage and all that. You should be able to do that. It's not easy because once he starts countering you, it's over. It's over. When he started countering me with the lead lefts, I knew it was over. From the very first round, I knew Usyk won this fight because he landed a lead left on you, and I was like, this didn't even take no time to do, you know. And then Usyk, he wasn't looking for the knockout. He was just trying to keep his rhythm, and you wasn't reading his rhythm at all. So you wasn't able to box him out. You was one step behind him all the time, straight through the fight. You were a step behind him. So you know, you gotta be able to you know, to execute these things that I'm just saying. And those are just some of the fundamental things you need to do. You know, again, just go watch back Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Go watch Ugas versus Pacquiao. Go watch Teofimo Lopez versus versus Vasily Lomachenko. You know, keep watching the Orthodox fighters, how they circle anti-clockwise to a southpaw, and then get the expertise, the people, whether it's Floyd, whether it's your trainers, whether it's the fighters themselves, talk with the fighters themselves. Even Deontay Wilder, maybe have a little talk with Deontay Wilder about how he circled, how he was able to navigate around Luis Ortiz, because Luis Ortiz is a very good southpaw, very good southpaw. He's not as mobile as Usyk, you know, with his feet, but very good southpaw, very powerful. Ask questions, man. Ask questions and get a bunch of southpaws to spar you. You know, pull in some of the best southpaws you can find. You know, and get some work done, man. Get some work. You know, because you know, Usyk ain't easy, man. He's not easy. He's not easy to box. I'm telling you. I'm just saying. You know, it's a lot of work you got to put in to be able to deal with a guy like Usyk. He got a lot of other tools. I just gave you the fundamental approach that you could use. I mean, you could go with the conventional way of circling clockwise to the weak to away from the power end of the southpaw, but you should always return and come back towards the power hand. You see what I'm saying? Because you don't want him. Because what you're doing is, if you circle, for example, to the weak side of me as a southpaw, well, you just set it up so I could easily land my lead left down the center anytime I want to. You play into my hand because it's easy for me to step to the outside of your lead foot. However, if you step circling the other way, it's harder for me to get lined up to step to the outside of your lead foot because your lead foot is continuously moving away from me. You know, unless you give me a T angle so I could just come straight down the center, there's really nothing else I can do. You have to overstep and overturn. You know, like Chris Algieri versus Manny Pacquiao, where Chris Algieri turned too soon, he formed a T angle, and Manny Pacquiao leaped at him with the lead left and busted him up. But if you don't do that, you know, because Usyk could feint you as if he's going to come one way or the other, or he's going to step backwards, and you end up stepping into a T angle or something. There's all those little tricks that they have in boxing, you know. Anyways, man, I'm what you need. I'm going to catch you guys later. You guys have a blessed day.